everybody, it's 5 o'clock. It's time for a work session, so we better get started. This is October 28th, 2025, and the work session is merely for discussion. There will be no decisions made, and I'm going to turn this over to our president, who can introduce our speaker for the 5 o'clock session.
Eric Burton will be teaching us about radios. It's a tack-in system that the state offers. So Eric, take it away.
Appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come and speak about communication here at TUA. So a few months ago, we began looking into options to replace our aging radio system. And this evening, I'm going to share with you where we are today, and we're going to take a look at our current analog system, and I'm going to introduce to you the TACN. It's a statewide digital network, which a lot of people across the state are going to. So first of all, don't do what I did. The first time I heard the word TACN, the first email I sent, it sounded like. TACN stands for Tennessee Advanced Communication Network. Throughout this presentation, we'll reference TACN, and we're going to learn about what it has to offer. Across the state line, we have the ability to communicate through the TACN system. It's crystal clear digital audio for accurate, dependable communication, and we also have the option to have interoperability with emergency responders. With the twist of a button, we can communicate with fire, EMS, emergency management, local law enforcement. So now we're going to look at an overview of our current system. It's an analog repeater system. So our current system consists of a repeater that's positioned at the Country Club water tank. You'll see in the top right there, there's an antenna on top of the tower for optimal coverage. So that antenna receives the signal, and there's coax cables that actually go down the leg of the tower, and they transmit those signals to a mini barn that houses the core system. The core system consists of a receiver, a transmitter, controller, and a power supply to work together with batteries for reliable, continuous analog, somewhat continuous analog communication. So here's how an analog repeater system works. That's actually two of our radios that are still in use right now. So a radio from the fielder office transmits a signal which is considered the input frequency. So the repeater receives that signal and instantly retransmits on a different frequency, which is the output frequency. So all others that have an active radio, so all others can hear the transmission. So as I was putting this presentation together, that's actually inside the mini barn. That's the core system that we have. You can see a transmitter, controller, the batteries, the power supply, and it just came to me that this is a great header for this slide. If it could talk, it would ask for retirement. I was doing some research, and this system was put in place in March of '03, so we've definitely gotten our money's worth out of it. Coverage limitations. So we have analog repeaters are constrained by antenna height, which we have an antenna on top of the tank, output power and line of sight. And there's hills and trees across Tullahoma, that obviously can obstruct the signal, causing communication gaps for crews. One of the things we need to realize is that we used to have two repeaters on the system. Motlow water tank had a repeater. That repeater is actually down and out of service. So if we actually lose the Country Club repeater, communication between crews and dispatch is lost and the system goes silent. So with TACN, they have multiple towers, and like I said earlier, they provide statewide coverage, multiple channels, and they have interoperability just that overcomes these analog TACN is the Tennessee Advanced Communication Network, statewide digital radio system that provides interoperable communications for public safety agencies and utilities across Tennessee. So that's law enforcement, that's fire, EMS, emergency management, and several utilities across the state are jumping on board on TACN because of its reliability. So how does TACN work? So TACN is a statewide radio network built on Project 25. That's P25 digital trunking technology. So each tower in TACN system has one control channel. So that control channel is actually like the traffic cop. It's constantly listening and ready to coordinate which frequency to use. So when you're on TACN and you press the mic to key the radio sends a digital signal to that control channel, and the system looks for an open frequency. So if TUA was using that, it says, hey, here's TUA, it automatically assigns a frequency to your talk group. So communication, so everyone on that talk group that's on the TUA main radios, they hear the transmission loud and clear, whether they're across town or across the state. It works statewide. So when that button gets released, that frequency actually goes back into the pool on the towers, and it's sitting there waiting for the next transmission. So what is a talk group? A talk group is basically a digital channel that's programmed into the radios. Each agency across the state has their own talk group. They've listed here TEMA, THP, TUA, etc. They have their own assigned talk groups. So during major events or disasters, agency can be patched together digitally and communicate, to help restore power, whatever the issue may be. We can all communicate together. So what does the TUA talk group structure look like? So TUA, if we go with this system, we'll have two channels. We'll have the main channel that consists of the main traffic that TUA will use all the time. We have a secondary channel that's it's a private conversation between two team members, two crew members. And a good example of that would be, if we ever had a storm and let's say engineer needed to talk to the general foreman of the line crew. They could get on that secondary channel. They can say, hey, here you got a broke pole, what material you need, how many crew members you need, and it's not broadcast across the main channel. It still uses a frequency on the tower, but it's just a secondary channel that TACN is willing to give us. We also have a talk-around feature. The talk-around feature is called simplex. So what that means is it's radio-to-radio contact. So instead of sending or getting a frequency from the tower, team members or crew members can communicate with one another from radio to radio. Where that would be useful when our line guys are doing a reconduct project and they need to talk to one another, about maybe the speed of the pull, the tension of the wire that's coming in. They can do that without tying up a frequency on the tower. And this option is good for a half a mile up to 2 miles. So it's ideal for on-site coordination. This system also offers a man down or mayday function. This is a button that's on the radios that when pushed, it halts all traffic. The radio that has the button pushed, the crew member does not have to even key the mic, they start talking. The programming is there to where we can have a direct line with 911 communication if we choose to. And dispatch will be listening, which can get the crew member that's been hurt, we can get them emergency service a lot quicker. So that's a really good feature. So what's the coverage area? You'll see here I outlined Coffee County in orange because that's Alan's favorite color there. But anywhere you see a red triangle, that's where there's already a tower that's in service. They're kind of hard to see. If you look at Coffee County, there's 3 down there. There's one at Rippy Ridge. There's one down there at Arnold Air Force Base, TUA. That would be the one that we would use. On the far right, it's Pelham. Anywhere there's a green area is 100% coverage. Anywhere there's a white area, it's 90% or less. And when I was talking with the state about the coverage area, they informed me that anytime you're in one of those 90% or less areas, if you walk 50 feet one way or another, you're probably going to get 90% or above coverage. It doesn't mean there's no coverage at all.
So they put the towers at elevation, right?
Not necessarily. No, like AEDC was a tower that they were actually gonna tear down, and Tackett came in and said, hey, we can use that tower, but it's not necessarily on the elevation.
Is that the one on past the golf course?
I think so, yes, sir, yeah. So what kind of future sites are we looking at? You'll look there, you'll see Coffee County again. You've got Rippy Ridge, that tower is actually online now. You've got the Air Force Base. You've got Pelham. Summitable Tower is under construction. It will be ready in July of next year. Also, the 911 call center has a tower that will probably be online sometime next year. So as you can see, Tullahoma is going to be surrounded. All the other colored dots are towers that are either getting ready to be put online, under construction, and all your triangles, like I said, are towers that are already online.
These is private and public sectors, correct?
Yes.
Because Jack Daniels would be private.
No, I don't know that there's public sectors on that. I think it's all private.
You're talking about on this frequency?
No, I'm just the towers.
Who put them up?
Jack Daniels, why would Jack Daniels need a tower? I mean,
Most
why
of-
would Moore County need?
Well, you're talking about where they're putting the towers,
Yeah.
maybe on the private.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And
yes.
that's why there's one in
Yeah.
Moore County.
Yes. A lot of times, TAC and the state will go through and they'll see a tower that's not being used anymore, and they'll say, hey, we can use this tower, and then they'll do what they
Activate
need to do to use that. So we're at the end. So what's the key benefits for TUA? It's secure. They're going to full encryption. Chad Parton is working on that. Statewide interoperability with local and regional agencies. Streamline internal communication for operations and field crews and emergency response. Reduce congestion. We have the main channel and a secondary channel and the talk around function. We have the man down or mayday button that can be programmed to communicate exclusively with 911 emergency services. And there's no contract fees, there's no maintenance fees. Once the radios are purchased, all we have to do is do the radio upkeep.
Is the city of Tullahoma, do they have these radios?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that.
Because
So
I know they've been talking about radios for a
that
while.
would be, we used to communicate a lot with the fire department. Our analog system is not as reliable as it used to be, and the fire department has went over to Tackett. So used to, they would go out and they'd say, hey, you got wire down here, you know, we could start making a list. But yes, Public Works, local law enforcement, the fire department, all have switched to Tackett. So
Okay.
we would have that interoperability with those departments.
Is the county on it also?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What's the lifespan?
As far as the radio?
Yeah,
or-
once y'all get started with this, what's the,
I don't exactly know what the lifespan is. I know that when I was talking with the salesman with Motorola, he took a radio, one of the Apex N70. He took it and dropped it from this high and just threw it on the ground, and he said they're indestructible. So they're pretty hard, but I don't know exactly. That's
I'm
something
sure
I
we
can-
have an employee that can go on that.
Well, we actually talked about Bluetooth mics, you know, that clip onto your collar that are Bluetooth, and we said, no, those will be lost, you know, in no time, so.
So during emergencies, we often send our crews to Florida, Alabama, South Carolina. Are these going to be able to be used outside of the state of Tennessee?
So to my knowledge, just outside the state, like say in Alabama and Georgia, those areas, there are a few areas that TACN will work. Not further south, you know, down into Florida in that area, no, not to my knowledge.
When something like that happens, do they furnish the crews that come in with communication equipment
Yes, they
anyway?
do. But what we can do with the talk around feature, if we go, say we go send a crew to Florida with the talk around feature, we can carry these radios with us, put it on talk around, and our crews have communication with each other. You know, if they get lost, you know, they can communicate with one another. If they lose sight of what they call the bird dog, they can communicate and communicate with one another and let them know their location, and always have communication with each other.
But is that a feature? Is that an additional feature?
It comes with the radios, but yes, it is an
Okay.
additional feature. Yeah.
And since there's no cost of operation, then adding or using it is not a cost to you?
It is not, no. It just, the talk around feature does not use a frequency from the actual tower.
Is there ever a point that they fill up, where there's too many people on Taco?
That's a good question. Right now, when I talk to the state, There was original talk about capacity and whatnot, but they feel like we have enough capacity to keep adding on, and there's so many towers coming online that that's not really a concern right now.
Is it tower driven or as far as capacity goes, or do you know?
I don't 100% know the answer to that question. I do think it is tower driven though, because that's why they're putting so many towers, you know, on
I
the
would think,
system
you know,
online.
if you were closer to a metropolitan area like Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis,
Yeah.
or wherever, you would wonder about capacity, you know, you don't wanna have so much traffic that you
Right.
can't get clear communication, but that's not an issue
Right.
here,
Right.
right? Or even in 30 years or 20 or,
I wouldn't think so.
Who knows?
From the information
They'll
I
have
get, they
something
just,
new by then, I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah.
they keep adding more and more towers, you know, more and more towers and more capacity. And the more people that get on, the better off it is. I mean, they eventually may add another tower here in Tullahoma. I don't know that for sure.
Eric, the existing tower we now have, it does work.
Mhm.
Does it just become obsolete? It doesn't
Eventually.
become part of the system?
It basically already is obsolete.
Yeah.
And that's why we didn't replace, the one that went down, is because we knew that we didn't wanna keep putting money into something
it's
that's,
old technology.
Sure.
Everything is going to digital technology, and the analog system, you know, you can purchase that, but they also want you to purchase radios that have the digital analog capabilities.
So our tower will be out the AEDC road, is our
Correct.
tower, or
Yes.
Ricky Ridge.
Actually, how it works, wherever you're at in town. So if the AEDC tower's not getting a good signal, you might work off, if the guys are toward Lynchburg, you might get off Ricky Ridge Tower. It automatically assigns whichever frequency that's it's closest to, yes.
Smart.
and I'm sorry, but did you talk about the Wi-Fi? Like if you come
I did
into,
not talk
if you
about
come
that,
into
no.
a building that has Wi-Fi,
It'll switch over.
it'll switch over.
Just to elaborate on that, it's called a Smart Connect feature. Some of the radios, well, all the radios have the Smart Connect features, the ones that we're looking at. You can actually program the SSID, and when you come, like he said, when you come in the building, it automatically switches over to Wi-Fi. So if the tower is not a good signal, Wi-Fi is a better signal, it switches over automatically. They also have the capability to work off cell phone towers. That's a programming feature. Everything is programming features. So if you get into an area to where the tower's too far away, they might say, hey, this cell phone tower's a better signal. It automatically switches over. It's all programming features.
On the cell phone, if you could use cell phone towers, you should be able to take your radio anywhere on a Verizon network. or,
Correct.
well, whatever.
The salesman that I talked to, that I got a lot of information about TAC, and he brought a radio in and talked with a guy in Chattanooga.
Yeah.
So, and it was crystal clear.
Who else is on this locally around us?
I understand that Middle Tennessee Electric's going to it, like I said, Public Works, the Fire Department, the Police Department. I think NES is on it. I
Duck
mean,
River? they own
Duck
it?
River's not on it yet. No.
Many visit.
They just actually bought a new radio system and they explored the TACing system, but they chose against it for whatever reason. I don't know.
Darrell, are there lots of examples statewide of people who, of government facilities that have
Yes.
taken on TACing?
Yes. Chad Parton came down. I had a good meeting with him, and there's an area in the Beach Grove that they never had cell phone and or radio communication. So the first thing they did, because they weren't believers in this at first,
Took it
they
there.
went to that area
Good.
and they talked to each other the whole time. He said you wouldn't believe the communication we had in areas that were originally dead zones. So the county has taken that in and they love it because they're never in a spot to where they can't communicate.
Sounds like a real deal.
I'm convinced. You know, it's important for our guys out in the field in storm situations to have good communication. You know, we rely on that. You know, if there's a storm, we wanna know, you know, what device is out, you know, where our guys are at for safety. You know, it's just important to have reliable communication.
Sure.
I assume that we have the price of this somewhere in our packet.
Yes.
Yes.
Eric, excellent presentation.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
job.
appreciate it.
Good job.
Any more questions? I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
What's the pleasure of the board? Can we go ahead and begin the
Sure.
regular meeting? Everybody all right with
So
that?
move.
All right, let's do it. All right. call the meeting to order. This is the regular board meeting. Normally begins at 5:30, but we've got 10 minutes to get a head start. This is October 28th, 2025. And the first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. And do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a second, we have a motion. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, motion approved. Next item on the agenda is to approve the previous meeting minutes from the September 30th meeting. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
All right, a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Any discussion or corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion too is approved. Do we have any customers present with any comments on the agenda?
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome, Neil. Another one. Okay, we'll move on into specific agenda action items. The first one is to appoint committee members and other positions. And I'm just gonna read these off because all the board members just readily accepted their assignments. And the policy committee chairman will be Bush Toma, and a member of that committee will be Darrell Welch. The rate committee will be headed by Dr. Blanks, and Ms. Patty Dean will be the member. Parliamentarian will be Bush Toma. Parliamentarian's staff assistant is Shannon Hamlin. And the President's Evaluation Committee, the chairman will be Ms. Patty Dean, and member will be Darrell Welch. And I want to thank all the board members for your willingness to accept the role. Okay, next item, and I might add the only item tonight, other than committee assignments, is to consider approving the purchase of new Motorola radios, which Eric Burton has done an excellent job of informing us as to the advantages of Motorola radios. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I assume this was in our budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I
Ms.
speak to
Spire,
that?
would you speak
Sure.
to that, please?
In full transparency, it's not line itemed out in the budget. But in our budget, each department has capital projects. So we have enough funds in those capital projects to allocate across the departments to take care of this 177,667 number. The other option would be to do a budget amendment. And the reason it's not line itemed out in the budget is we were really gonna try to extend this radio system until next fiscal year. But you've seen Eric's presentation, and I would recommend going ahead, because the capital projects funds across all four departments, will take care of this price. So that would be my recommendation.
Well, that's the important,
Yes.
is making sure.
Well, all the departments you will be
Yes,
Little
using
piece of
this.
it.
that's right.
Do you split it just by, how do you
It
decide?
will be split by the department, the number of radios each department has, is how we'll do that. So the electric department will probably,
Get the numbers.
yeah, have the most.
So, just a comment that I have, and, so on a Policymakers Council call, in a couple weeks ago, with APPA, our special guest talked about their emergency, management system in Florida. And they were thankful that they haven't had to use it very much this year. But, they really stressed communications and even practicing and going through, practicing their communications and all their protocols for emergencies. And so, and to the point where they, they've really upgraded the kinds of things that they're using. And these radios are exactly what, would be part of their protocols and practices. So that's a really important thing, especially as I mentioned before, we do respond to emergencies, not just within Tennessee, but within our region. And, you know, to be an effective partner, you know, for people to come and help us, for us to go out and help people, having this communications network is really important.
I'd like to add to that, the fact that we can communicate between the city, especially the various departments, you know, during a storm or something like that. I could see that, you know, what if a line fell across a car or something and the police are there and they can't communicate with you all to get, wow, I think this is awesome.
Invaluable.
I would also state that, to your point about the bandwidth and clogging the system up, is during a crisis situation, it would be a coordinated effort, and the city, the fire department and the county EMS is really done well at practicing those events. So basically, there would be a headquarters, and TUA would send a representative to that site, and that way, you know, it wouldn't be complete chaos with the fire department on the radios, police on the radios, utilities on the radios. It's a coordinated effort with a representative from each department in the room.
Helen, have the fire and the police departments here in town, have they they've done this for a year or so, have they felt good about their communication?
I believe so. I haven't heard negative impacts of it. You know.
I haven't heard any complaints.
Have we found, you know, this may be getting the cart before the horse, but, you know, talking about sending people in those situations, do we have a key person here that we will send, you know, to be the coordinator on the TUA end?
That's right. We would have a dedicated person. We have a
Communications representative or whatever?
the term slipping my mind, but basically a crisis plan.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's named,
Crisis
a named
coordinator or-
a named individual, or if it's by job title, but we do have that.
This system seems to me is just vital. It's not something you can do without. The Mayday piece to me is terribly important. Someone gets injured, and be able to take care of that individual and meet whatever needs he or she has. To me, that's so terribly needed and important.
The last thing I would add is, if we decided to go with the current system and rebuild it, and replace those radios and put new repeaters up, you would not be spending much less than this price right here. The prices are very close. And the good thing about this is there's no maintenance on our end. We just have the radios and the state takes care of the rest.
Okay, any further discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, motion approved. Next will be the committee reports. Do we have any committee reports, policy, or rate? Anybody? No? Okay. So it's now time for the departmental reports. And so I'll turn this over to President Parker.
All right, so in the admin department, it's been abnormally busy for October. Usually we're kind of winding things down at this point and starting to prepare for the budget for the next year. So right now, our audit work is done, except for our single audit. And the reason we're not having that presentation at this board meeting is the OMB compliance supplement has not been released so that our auditors can complete the single audit. So that will be, considering the government shutdown, it's probably gonna be closer to, the deadline for that audit, single audit, is March 31st. So what we're going to do in the meantime is we're going to submit our preliminary audit to TVA. And then when we get the final one, we'll do the presentation for the board and then we'll submit it to TVA. But until we get the single audit, we're kind of, our hands are tied. But so we don't get dinged on anything because TVA is very aware of this and we're not the only utility that's having this issue. The other thing we've been working on is we're starting to prepare for the AMI project, mass change out again. We're gonna do that in the next couple of weeks. We have started this week actually changing meters out when we go out and have a change order. So if somebody changes service at their house, we're actually changing that meter out. So that's in process again. NISC, we're still working through the software change that we had at the end of September. So we're a good month into it. Everything seems to be going pretty well. There's a few hiccups, but we're working through it. And it's pretty amazing to have a software that has the capability that this software has. It really is. But also, we're close to beginning the services conversion. So this will encompass everything at TUA. And this is coming, I think our first scheduled meeting with NISC is the end of this December. And we're going to kind of have our ducks in a row before then, because we're going to be prepared. We're going to be the best conversion they've worked with.
There you go.
I like it.
Any questions?
Very good, Jason, thank you.
Dale?
Yeah, just a couple of things for you. I'll give you an update on the East Lincoln water line project. The water line on Highland Drive has been finished for about a month or so, and now the water line on East Lincoln, is part of the same project, has been installed. Still waiting on making some service connections, and gonna make connections to the water mains on the side streets. So the contractor's working on that, and hopefully get that done soon. It's been over a year, so we're ready for them to get finished. We're doing our water flushing this week and next week. We're flushing every night or Monday through Thursday, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. The guys are getting overtime, but they're not getting much sleep. And we do this annually just to keep fresh water in the lines, to keep sediment out of the lines. It's just a water quality issue is the reason we do it, and that's going well. So if you're out late at night, sometimes see a fire hydrant running, that's probably us, hopefully. And that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Right.
Be pretty quick as well this evening. Since last month's approval on our Calyx project, we have been updating our databases in the Calyx CMS system, which is our current management GUI, so that when we start the migration over to the new management GUI, it will pull in the proper information in the right formats. We have spun up a new server, a virtual server, to host our SMX, which is going to be the new management system for AXOS, and we have started the initial configuration for it. We've also racked and powered a new chassis with the new line card. The upgrades have been done to that, and configuration will start on that as soon as the management system configuration is complete. Outside, we have installed what we call 2+, which is the LCP cabinet that's going to be designated for Sagewood on Short Springs. All the backbone splicing is ready to go, and distribution splicing will start as soon as the fiber pool is completed in that area, and some other workers get out of the way. Engineering is also working on several designs in other areas, mostly due to the townhouse growth that we've had. And I want to thank Bradley and Joseph for staying way ahead of us on that, so that nothing sneaks up on us and we don't have fibers in place to service these new townhomes. As Jason Penny said, all of our employees in the fiber system, since the NISC migration to the new time submission, they've been doing really well, factoring their time in the proper locations, proper to budget codes with truck times and all that. So everything's doing really well on that front. And fiber for September was +11. Any questions for me?
Good job.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
So in addition to all the work the electric department's doing to prepare these subdivisions, you know, that's a lot of work they do, putting the infrastructure in, because they do the fiber insulation as well on those. They've replaced some more bad underground at Terra Estates, and I believe we're close to having all new underground over there, minus several pieces, or a few pieces. We started proactively changing that cable out a couple of years ago, and then we got a lot of pushback because the yards were getting dug up and damaged. So we transitioned to really just replacing the cable when it went bad, because we can backfeed that and the customer's not out. So we're replacing it as the cable goes bad. They installed a new recloser on Cedar Lane out by Tractor Supply, which will provide another automation source for us. I'm most excited, I think, this month about some of the community outreach we've done. Movie night, we had over 250 attendees. And then on our Public Power Day celebration, we transitioned it to a lunchtime instead of 3:30 to 5:30, and we still had nearly 300 community members show up for that. So I'm excited that you know, we're serving, we're giving back to our community in that way. Any questions about the electric department or marketing?
I will state this, the picnic was a success, because my granddaughter was willing to go up in that 40-foot lift. And she'll do that, but she's absolutely scared of the Chick-fil-A
Cow.
whatever. Cow. That's right, cow.
All right. Next, we've got board reports. So let's start with Dr. Blanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have anything really major. I'd like to let everybody know that we're still broadcasting football games. Basketball will start soon. Wildcats are playing their hearts out, and it's always nice to be able to turn the TV on to Channel 23 and watch it from the comfort of your own lazy boy, if you don't want to go down to Wilkins Stadium. I'd like to thank all our employees for helping out in times of bad weather. We haven't had any in a while. Hopefully we won't. I don't think there's any storms in the new forecast. So lots of growth. So there's a lot that keeps us busy, and we do a good job. And I'd like to thank our employees for that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, Mr. Welch.
I wasn't on any committee, so I spent the month just trying to be visible a little bit. Did the Chamber Coffee today, did Public Power Day, did the CEO, we had a CEO day at Farrah Elementary, and I wore my real estate hat and also wore the TUA hat that day, so that was good to see. Scheduled some continuing education classes, and I've discussed some policy and procedure stuff with that one this month. That's a start.
Excellent.
Did Alan put you up to the first educational class?
No. Yeah.
Is that the one in Brentwood?
Yeah, the one in
Miss
Brentwood.
You better take somebody that can interpret things.
Okay. He said he'd go with me, so.
Oh, good.
I think Dale's back up.
Oh, wow.
Ms. Dean?
Alan kind of just skipped over some of these marketing things that I think are really significant. A couple of awards and recognitions. So TUA got the APPA Excellence in Public Power Communications Award in the video category. And so when you get an award from the National Public Power Group, that's always, I think, noteworthy. So Alan was also nominated and appointed to the Air Force Material Command Civic Leader Program. And so as much as Arnold Air Force Base is a part of our community, it's gonna be really great to have a representative from TUA, to have Alan on with that group, really establishing and making connections with the Air Force Base and the Air Force as a whole. TUA, I think, is recognized nationally. It amazes me all the time for a town as small as we are, for our our excellence, and this is just one more proof positive that that's the case. So I guess that's all I have to say. Congratulations to TUA.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Tillman?
For the sake of time, I do not have a report.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take a little of your time, is that all right?
Sure.
I don't have that much really, but first, I just wanna thank, all the men and women of TUA who day in and day out represent TUA and our community in a positive way. We just cannot afford to take that for granted. I think we should be congratulated, at least our people should be congratulated for their dedication. Congratulations to THS soccer team that made the state tournament, and I think they play tonight, don't they? Yeah. And the football team that beat rival Franklin County last Friday night, beat them substantially, might add. Congratulations to Danny and Carolyn Thomas for being selected to receive the prestigious Clyde W. Smith Jr. Leadership Award by the Tullahoma City Schools. I attended the public power picnic that was mentioned earlier. Had the privilege of representing TUA with some stud golfers at the Chamber Golf Tournament sponsored by TUA. And it's great that the TUA is supporting the Chamber, which is such an integral part of our community.
Mr. Chairman, did you win?
We did really well.
That wasn't my question.
We were in the middle of the second flight. We had a lot of people below us though, too, so. And the TV broadcast of all the sporting events, the Mick and Mac Show. I'm sure you've seen the Mick and Mac Show, which has been a great addition to our TV programming. So, and that's all I've got.
And they have a regular caller on the Mick and Mike show.
They do?
Yeah. His voice sounds awful familiar every week.
Really? All right. Mr. Potter, do you have something you'd like to add?
Yeah, I know the crews are gonna be extremely happy about the new radios, so thank you to the board on behalf of them. Especially the electric crews, we really emphasize that they use the radios so that every crew knows what's going on the electric system. And it's sometimes frustrating when they try to use the radio and it doesn't get back into the building. The building is an issue getting the analog system out. So they're really gonna be thankful for that. So thank you to you all for approving that. And Ms. Dean was right. Shannon will be in Utah, Salt Lake City next week to receive our award. So that's basically the commercial that we put out several months ago. That received an award, so we're excited about that. And that's all I have.
All right. Anybody have anything you want to add? Well, if not, I declare this meeting adjourned.